Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about guns and women, okay? I train lots of women and a lot of times I'm asked to help them identify what would be a good gun for them, okay? Now, skipping ahead, okay, the best gun that you can have is an AR-15, okay? Now there's some obvious problems with this. Number one, this is kind of big, you can't carry it, okay? So that's an obvious problem. This is not something that you can keep in your, you can keep inside your waistband, and walk around concealed with, okay? But if you could, okay, this is the gun that you would want to have, okay? And what I find is that when women shoot this gun, first of all, this is a very popular gun with women, okay? Couple of great features, especially if it's got a red dot, really easy to put the red dot on target, okay? The trigger pull is pretty light. It's pretty easy for them to rack the slide and chamber around. The recoil is pretty light. So overall, women love shooting this gun. But when women show up, to me for training, I don't just throw this gun at them, okay? Because I'm going to look at it and they'll be a little intimidated. So this is not where I start them off with, okay? Where I usually start them off with is something like this Ruger Mark III, okay? Great feature about this gun, the sights are pretty far apart, okay, so that it's easier to aim it more accurately. The gun is all steel, so even though the 22 is going to recoil pretty light, because of the extra weight of this gun, it's going to recoil even less, okay? So this is a good place where I tend to start, not just women, but new shooters in general, okay? From there, I kind of feel them out, see how they feel about it. I might jump them up to a 9mm. If I'm going to take them up to a 9, I give them something like this Glock 17. For a lot of women, it does tend to be a little bit big for their hands. But here's the thing, they are able to control it, okay? And that's one of the things that I like to distinguish, okay? Shooting is about performance, okay? The gun that feels the most comfortable may not be the gun that you can shoot the best. And the example that I'll use, is this Ruger 380, okay? Okay, this is a 380 that I love shooting, and a lot of times I'll carry this, okay? This is a 380 that is hard enough for me to shoot accurately, and I find that very few women can actually shoot this gun accurately. And the reason is because, even though it's shooting a 380, the 380 in such a light gun is going to recoil more than the 9mm in this Glock 17, okay? So the fact that the Glock 17 has more weight to it, okay, means that extra mass, okay, is going to pick up the recoil, whereas the lack of mass on this 380 means that the gun's going to kick more, okay? So I find that when women walk into a gun store and they say, hey, I'm looking for a gun, this is the first thing they'll throw at them, okay? And that's a salesman type of view. This is the gun that to most women that are not familiar with guns is going to look the least scary because it's small, okay? So they're going to say, oh, that can fit in my purse, that kind of stuff. Okay, this is by far a very difficult gun to shoot. And one of the most difficult things about it is just racking the slide, okay? Most women that I train on this gun have a hard time gripping this and just racking that slide, okay? Another thing is a lot of women will have a hard time pressing that trigger, okay? Although it's not too bad on this gun, but that is another issue. One good thing about this gun is the magazine is easy to load. It's a single stack, okay? So what I advise women when they're going through this gun selection process, those are the three things that they should look for. Can they load the magazine? Okay. Can they rack the slide? Can they squeeze the trigger? Okay. Now this Glock 17, which I was just talking about a second ago, has a double stack magazine. Okay, that means there's two columns here. Okay, and what I find is that a lot of women, okay, not all women, but a lot of women can only load about 3 or 4 rounds into this, and after that, that magazine gets very stiff. Okay, so double stack magazines tend to be very difficult for a lot of women to load. Okay. Another thing is revolvers. Okay, revolvers are That's, if somebody's not going to be shooting regularly or often, okay, a revolver is usually a good choice for them. And granted, people say, well, if you practice more, you would be able to, to shoot the semi-automatic just as well. And you would, if you get a jam, to tap and rack, and you'll do it automatically, and so forth. And yes, if you practice, you will be able to do those things. But I also have to accept the reality that a lot of people, especially people that live in cities, are not going to be able to practice as regularly as the rest of us do. Okay, so if that's the situation, a lot of times I will recommend a revolver. Okay, now with the revolvers, okay, here I have a 22 revolver. Okay, the trigger pull on this gun is very hard. It's probably upwards of, it's probably a 12-pound trigger pull. Okay, this is a very, very hard gun to shoot, even though it's a 22. Okay, likewise, here I have a 44 Magnum. Okay, this 44 Magnum has a very light trigger pull. Okay, at least it's a lot lighter than that other one. So this is a pretty light gun to shoot. So just because a gun is a 22 or a 44 doesn't necessarily tell you anything about how hard that trigger pull is going to be. Okay, so you gotta actually test it out and feel it. Okay, now keep in mind that I generally don't recommend 44 Magnums for women, but if this is the gun that you like, okay, keep in mind you can get this with a shorter barrel, and with the 44 Magnum you can put 44 specials in there, which can be quite manageable. Okay, but hey, that's on the side. I generally don't go in that direction. Okay. For a lot of women, I have found that that the most comfortable gun that they can shoot well, okay, and like I said, I give less emphasis to the comfortable and more emphasis to the shooting well, is a 22. Okay, and a lot of times this is the gun that I will recommend. Okay, this is the Ruger SR22. It is a double action, single action gun. Okay. And what I find that this gun, it is light enough, to rack the slide. Okay, it's got that decocker, which is pretty easy to operate. The trigger pull is not extremely difficult. Okay, it has a single stack magazine, which actually has a little handle on the side over here, which makes it even easier to load. Okay, so this is a gun that I find that women enjoy shooting, and because they enjoy shooting, they want to practice more with it. Okay. So that's kind of the reality. So my thing is, first, enjoy shooting, okay, and then start thinking about other things that you can do with the gun. Then you can start thinking about personal protection. You can start thinking about competition shooting or hunting or whatever else. But the starting point is recreational shooting, okay. And a lot of times when I get women, if I get women that come to me and they're like, hey, I'm here to have fun, great. My job is really easy, okay? Because my job is just to get you to have fun, and shooting guns is fun, so I really don't have to work too hard, okay? When I get a woman that comes to me and says, hey, something's happened in my life and I need a gun for self-defense, okay? My job's a little bit harder, because now I basically got to take her mindset and try to move her away from the self-defense and into the recreational shooting. And the way I explain it is, hey, listen, using a gun for self-defense is the equivalent of taking you and putting you into a NASCAR race and having you race against other drivers. Okay, so before you start racing, let's first learn to simple recreational driving. Let's learn to just let's learn to use the car before we think about racing with it. Okay, so that's why I try to shift people from the defensive shooting to the recreational shooting and try to move them forward from there. Okay. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.